is Minnesota at Penn State. Number 16, Penn State, dropping 6 spots from number 10 is number 16, Penn State. And this is the 16th meeting between Minnesota and Penn State. Penn State leads the series 6-9. Nope, 9-6. You can't lead 6-9. That would mean you're losing.
It would, yes.
Penn State is only favored by 4.5 points, and this is our first rivalry game of the season. It's a relatively new rivalry. It goes back to 1993. This I actually just found out today. I did not know this. The Governor's Victory Bell Trophy commemorates this game because the very first game that Penn State played when they joined the Big Ten was against Minnesota.
Wow.
And so they just came up with this Governor's Victory Bell, and the winner of the game takes the trophy home. I think Penn State had it 4 years in a row, and then Minnesota had it 4 years in a row, and I believe Penn State has it now. But I thought that's actually kind of cool. That's a good trophy.
Yeah.
We need some kind of celebration for that at some point. Getting into this game, Minnesota is coming off 2 losses, but even with the 2 losses, they have better stats than Penn State. Minnesota still has a chance to catch up with Illinois and Purdue, I think, which means they still have a shot at the Big Ten championship. It's a little bit tougher now, but they have an opportunity to get back there. They're not mathematically out yet. Minnesota leads Penn State in points per game, points allowed, yards gained, and yards allowed. Given they're not given they're not out of the championship, I can read. I think they just flat out want this game more than Penn State. Because they have a shot at the championship, Penn State being in the East Division, they couldn't beat Michigan. They're not going to be Ohio State. They're not going to the championship. I think Minnesota wants this game more. What do you think Minnesota needs to do to win this game?
I don't know that they want this game more. I think I might disagree with you on that.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, all right. So, I mean, mathematically speaking, Penn State's not out of the running either. And James Franklin is going to make sure that his team knows that. Now, whether or not it matters.
But they'd have to beat Ohio State.
Yeah. So,
which I guess maybe they could, but.
Well, currently the score is 0-0, so it could happen.
Right.
It hasn't happened yet, so it can happen. Anyway, all I'm trying to say is that, like, mathematically speaking, no, they're not out of it yet, and they're going to believe that they have a shot. So Minnesota, though, has to play the way that they were earlier in the season on offense. Mm-hmm. So I kind of did a hard segue there, but that's okay. Minnesota without Mohamed Ibrahim that was a problem. I mean, so against Purdue, though, Tanner Morgan was knocked out of the game in the 4th quarter and all that. So the offense becomes fairly one-dimensional once a single player is missing. Now that's not exactly true, though, because Tanner Morgan was knocked out in the 4th quarter. So they were already playing kind of cruddy at that point. But that's kind of an issue for Minnesota right now, is that on offense, they're a completely different team than what they were earlier in the season. So they've had plenty of opportunities to win these games, but as soon as they meet relatively decent defenses, I'm trying to remember, Purdue, well, I wouldn't even call Purdue a decent defense, though. So I guess I'm contradicting myself in real time, but I don't care. That's just how bad Minnesota's offenses look these past couple of weeks, and it's baffling to the mind how they go from high-flying offensive power like what you saw at Michigan State. I understand Michigan State's defense isn't very good, but I don't think Purdue's defense is all that good either, and they shouldn't have been against Minnesota. So what happened? But I don't know. I mean, that being said, I mean, Minnesota's defense is still pretty tough. Purdue and Illinois are not going to be the best offenses that they'll face this year. I think Penn State's actually going to be tougher, and I think Minnesota is going to be lucky by season's end to only have Wisconsin and Iowa left at that point, especially since both of those teams are kind of struggling too. So for right now, though, I'm kind of concerned that Minnesota's downward spiral is not like over.
Minnesota has only allowed 70 points this season.
Yeah. So that's pretty good.
Penn State is allowed 115.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Wow.
But then Purdue has allowed 169.
Yeah. See, that's what I'm saying.
So yeah. In Indiana, 221. But Michigan's actually 85. Michigan's actually fourth place then in the Big Ten as far as points allowed.
Okay.
Ohio State is fifth.
Hmm.
Penn State then, the other side of the question then, if Penn State can put down their PB&Js long enough to put a drive together, they might be able to take advantage of Minnesota and win this game. I'm starting to wonder though about Sean Clifford. He doesn't hold up well under pressure, it seems like. Looking back on their season, their offense really hasn't faced much of a challenge. Michigan was their first real test. They failed that one miserably. The only real spark they showed was that pick six, and that didn't last. I mean, it lasted for the first drive in the second half, and that was it. And all they got out of that was a field goal.
Mm-hmm.
What does Penn State have to do then to win this game, recover from that loss against Michigan, and, well, like you said, have a shot at the Big Ten championship?
Yeah, I mean, just kind of backtracking to the Michigan game. I mean, at no point did Penn State look particularly good, at least in terms of a sustainable and repeatable offense, or in any sort of manner of success on the field. So Michigan really dominated all four quarters, even if the scoreboard didn't necessarily reflect that at one point.
Right.
Penn State's really got to figure out what happened on defense to allow so many holes against Michigan's run game. So fortunately for them, Minnesota isn't exactly firing on all cylinders like we just talked about. But if they find some sort of spark in the run game, if the Gophers do, then they can absolutely be lethal. If they can't, then they're a one-dimensional offense, and maybe Penn State can take advantage of that. I feel like they probably could. That being said, Penn State's also got to figure out how to keep Sean Clifford safe in the pocket long enough for him to find his receivers. I mean, against Michigan, they only got 2 sacks, or they suffered 2 sacks against Michigan. But Clifford was under pressure pretty much the entire game. I don't think that there was a single down of football that Penn State played on offense where Clifford wasn't at some point trying to run for his life.
Right.
So, and that forced a ton of bad throws, and Penn State's offense went absolutely nowhere. So, I mean, if they can gather themselves, if they can kind of reset, I think that they can beat Minnesota, and I think that they can even win their last 4 games. But that Ohio State game is a big question mark.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
The team rivalry top secret score predictor is working against me again in this game. We've got number 16 Penn State scoring 41, Minnesota 24.
Okay, I feel it.
Yeah.
So Minnesota or Penn State's offense is going to get it going.
Yep.
All right. Well, I like Minnesota's defense a little bit. I'm a little excited about them. I think that they'll get some pressure. But that being said, I think Penn State's still going to win. It's a home game for them, so I like their chances. That's why I am taking PBJU 28-10.
Oh, we're gonna get a lot of mileage out of that one.
Yes, we are. They're really caught in a jam with that one.
Ooh.
Hey.
Well, they just don't know what side the bread's buttered on, I guess.
Oh, man. Oh. Bread toasted. I'm sorry. I was trying to think shots fired, but that didn't work.